I think we feel more unified because we realize we're all participating in it at very many levels of expression, i.e. from the genetic right through to the mental. And the movie in subtle ways trying to say that. Sorry, my answer's too long, but I think you get what I'm saying.
Thank you. Hello, sir. I'm Sean, and I come from a public relations firm here in the Philippines. And I'm also a byproduct of University of Asia Pacific. And what struck me the most is the setting of the film, especially in the wartime, because I'm a fan of war films, and usually I notice there's this trend in war films that focuses more on the soldiers and leaders more than on the victims or of both sides of the war, or for any war for that matter. And what struck me most with this film is that it portrayed how civilians suffer in the film, especially in the point of view of a priest, Jose Maria Escriva, which is highly unusual for a filmmaker, in my opinion. And it showed me a new light into the humanity of war and how it affects, everybody. I mean, there are two sides in religion: the layman and the priests, or the ordained. That's what struck me. Now, for my question, it's kind of a religious question. Of all values taught in the Bible, why did you give major emphasis on forgiveness in the film? I saw like 3-4 scenes that mentioned on how to forgive or touched on forgiveness, and I'd like to ask why.
That's a very, very important, it's a very crucial question. Let me say one thing about your first point, which I think was very good. When I was at school, we had a master at school who won the Distinguished Service Medal, the DSM. It's a very, amazing medal, and he had to give a speech one day on sort of Victory Day, for the Second World War. And he said a very interesting thing. He said, I got this medal because of my enemy. Well, we all sat there, at 14, thinking, what does that mean? And he said, you look blank, don't you? He said, look, I don't think I'm brave. I think I was mostly frightened. But I was fighting someone. If I had been fighting no one, I would have found out nothing about myself. So really this medal belongs to my enemies, some of whom I killed, to my regret. So think about that when you go into life. Those people you think are your enemies are doing a great service because they're teaching you who you are. Never forget it. And that was a remarkable thing. I've never forgotten it. That leads me to forgiveness. I'll tell you why I think forgiveness is very crucial. It's because forgiveness is the point at which our mind, what lives inside our brain, either as a separate entity or is the implicit shape that grows out of the brain, if you like, but our mind, no matter what it is, will take us to a point where we judge others, and particularly when we cause immense amount of pain, our whole sort of neuron system, everything coalesces in anger and ferocity and the desire to wreak revenge. Those are natural to human beings. They're also extremely dangerous because all we're then doing is passing the ball on. But by exercise of the mind in a very extraordinary way, we can surmount that and break the chain. And the breaking of the chain is absolutely crucial, and it can be done, and often by very, very, very simple people. And I've seen this. I've seen people actually do it. And I can give you some examples. It's probably too long now. But I can give you examples that happened in Israel, examples that happened in Rwanda, of very simple people who willingly and utterly used their own moral strength to say, I will not, if my children have been killed, pass on the hatred and the anger, because my love of my children must not be used to further the hatred that killed them. It must be used to wear away the hatred. It must be used so that their memories are used for love. But that is strength of character. And that comes back to what I was saying earlier about what I think is rather joyful about things like Opus Dei. They actually say to us, look, being good, using the best of yourself doesn't come easily, but it comes with the most beautiful thing. It comes with you stepping forward into your own mind and saying, I am going to be this kind of person and not that kind. And that is the joy of being a human being. And that, in a sense, is what life, or God, if God is life, offers us. And that's why I think forgiveness is incredibly important.
Thank you.
Thank you. We wish we can give more time for questions and comments, but we have just enough time before our camera shuts off to one last person to give a comment and to share something with Mr. Joffe. I'd like to give you Mr. Lito Pagayon, who is a part of the group that made possible the Philippine release of There Be Dragons.
Well, thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Direct Roland. My name is Angelito Lito. Well, I'd like just to share one thing. I've seen the movie 6 times, and 6 times I've cried in the same spot. First is the one when Jose Maria was arguing with his companions, and of course the one that's the priest being killed. Now, being part of the team, we were able to create a new image of the film for the Philippines. So we'd like to show you the poster we did, highlighting Jose Maria as a priest, and also all the other 3 characters that are here included in the poster. Let me go closer to the camera.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay.
I think that's very, very nice. You must send me a copy. I think it's beautiful.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you too for the compliment. Actually, the reason why we thought of this sort of layout, Philippines love to look at pictures more than copy, and we are also in love with telenovela. This mushy, how do you call it, cry kind of movie in theater. So we thought of positioning the movie as a Spanish telenovela. So ergo, we came out with featuring all the characters, especially we're also using a lot of the Facebook for the promotions. Thank you, and we must thank you for giving us a beautiful film of Saint Jose Maria Escrivá.
Well, thank you very much.
There's a request for a question that's specific to the Philippines, and I just couldn't resist. Attorney Villarreal, please.
Good afternoon again, Mr. Joffe. Just a very brief question, actually it's two-pronged. First, have you had the opportunity to see or view any Filipino film? And second, regardless perhaps of that experience, would you consider collaborating or doing some work with our Filipino filmmakers, most especially those who are in independent cinema? Thank you very much.
Well, to the first question, no, I actually haven't seen many Filipino films, I have to admit to you. But second, I have been to the Philippines. I came, funnily enough, just after Corazon Aquino became president, and was taken on Malacanang, went around the Malacanang Palace. And one of the reasons I came was I was very fascinated by the relationship between Aquino himself and President Marcos. I felt that those two men were very extraordinary. I was very fascinated by the fact that President Marcos kept Aquino alive when he had a heart attack and sent him to America. There's something very curious about that. For instance, Stalin would not have done that. Stalin would have had him annihilated. So that meant there was something about what Aquino was doing for Marcos that was actually rather extraordinary. So anyway, but certainly I would love to come to the Philippines, and I would absolutely collaborate with Filipino filmmakers. I think it would be a wonderful thing.
Okay, a 30-second reaction. Actually, in my notes, I would have suggested to you to consider the life of President Aquino as material for a film that you may want to do with our filmmakers. Good evening from here, good afternoon there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Very much.
Mr. Joffe, one last message that we'd like to hear from you is a message for the Filipinos who may yet see the film. Perhaps another message for aspiring Filipino filmmakers who will be, who are touched by your work, inspired by your kind of